Hello, I'm going to do a very quick tutorial on how to bring in assets to Unreal 4, so physically based assets into Unreal 4 without changing the way that they look once they get in there, and also how to bring them in a way that's optimized and that will make decent use of memory. So I've got this asset in marmoset and I'm quite happy with it. I've got all my materials set up and it's kind of physically correct, and the metal looks okay, the rust looks okay, and I want to bring this into Unreal 4 without changing the way it looks too much. So at the moment I have all of these maps set up. I've just got everything separate, so I've got a diffuse map, I've got a metallic map, I've got a normal map, I've got a roughness map, and I've got a ambient occlusion map. What I'm going to do is to pack the AO, the metallic and the roughness all into one texture so that we don't waste any memory, and bring all of that through into Unreal. So the first thing I'm going to do is start up Unreal, and I'm going to bring my FBX in. So let's import that, and I'm going to bring in my diffuse and my normal map. So they can just be left as they are, and I'll just bring them in as PSDs. It'll change them to the format that it needs to. Okay, let's create our base material. So I'm just going to right click on my diffuse and do create material. And my diffuse is just going to go into the base, and my normal map is going to go into the normal. So that's okay. What we need to do now is to bring in all the maps that are going to make this actually look good. So our metallic, our roughness, and our AO. Let's just apply this to the crate. So we can see what we've got now. And it just looks obviously a little bit flat and a bit dull. And it's not got the shine and all the bits that we wanted. Okay, so I'm going to open up my AO map and my roughness and my metallic map all in Photoshop. So there's my AO, there's my metallic, and there's my roughness. And now I'm going to create a new document. This is going to be 2048 by 2048, so that's just the texture size that I'm using. I'm going to keep it RGB color. And I need to fill this layer with something just to get this to work. Okay, now I'm going to take my AO, copy all of that into this new document. I'm going to take my metallic, I'm going to copy all of that into this document, and I'm going to take my roughness, and I'm going to copy all of that into this document. Let's put this layer at the top. Now all I need to do is to put these things into the channels. So I'm going to pack these into the channels. So I'm going to take this is my metallic map here. So I'm going to press Control A to select all, Control C to copy that. Then I'm going to go to this layer at the top. I'm going to go to my channels and to my red channel and paste it into there. Then I'm going to take my roughness, Control A, Control C to copy it, back up to this layer, into the channels, into the green channel, and paste it in there. AO, same thing, except this is going to go into the blue channel. So now I've got this weird looking map, this weird looking red, green, blue image. But in my red channel, I've got my metallic, in my green channel, I've got my roughness, and in my blue channel, I've got my AO. Okay, so let's save that. Okay, I'm going to call this a reflection map or something like that. Call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it, I tend to call them reflection maps, just for want of anything better to call it. And now I can bring that reflection map in. So this is just now an image that's got my roughness, metallic, and AO all packed into it. Okay, let's save that. Okay, so all of that so far is pretty straightforward. The next thing that I need to do is these maps that I've just brought in are linear maps. They should be, they're just values, so that we don't want these to be gamma corrected, because I've picked the values for the metallic and the roughness. Particularly the roughness is what's important. I've picked the values of that off a physically correct chart, so I want those values to stay exactly where they are, and I don't want them to be gamma corrected in any way. So what I need to do is to tell Unreal 4 that this is an image that I don't want it to gamma correct. So what I'm going to do is open it up, and I'm just going to change the compression setting from TC default to TC masks, and if I do that, then this image won't be gamma corrected anymore. So I'll save that. This is the thing that will, if you don't do this, your maps won't look the same as they did in Marmoset. So that's the key thing to remember to do to get your maps to look the same. So let's open our material editor again and bring in this reflection map. And now it's just a case of simply hooking everything up. So the red was my metallic, the green was, oh, in fact, I've forgotten to do something. So before I did all of that, in my green channel, because this is Unreal 4 and Unreal 4 does its roughness maps upside down, I need to invert that. So let me just make that clear what I'm doing. I'm just taking this roughness map and hitting Control I to invert it. So now white is rough and black is smooth, so that's the opposite to Marmoset. So let's just save that again and go back to Unreal and re-import. Okay, now I can hook this up. So the green channel wants to go to my roughness, the red was my metallic, and the blue channel was my ambient occlusion. Okay, so I just realised that I'd flipped the layer in here by accident instead of flipping the channel, so I've just done that and brought that back in, and this should now be working correctly. So let's just have a look at our, let's save everything and have a look at our crate, and we should find that the material definition on here is basically exactly the same as it was in Marmoset. So I've got the same kind of shine on the metal and the same sort of stuff going on with the wood that I had before. The rust is popping out as it should do, and all of that kind of stuff. So that is probably the best way to keep your everything nicely optimized. I'll just drop it into the world. There's no light map UVs on this, so I can't really bake it. But the key thing to do is to remember that if you're going to pack things into a red, green, and blue channel, then make sure you change the compression settings to something like masks or just something that's going to be linear. If you bring it in as the default diffuse, it'll gamma correct and it won't look correct once it's in. If you want to pack your roughness into your alpha channel, then that's fine, because an alpha channel will automatically just be linear, so you don't need to worry about changing any compression settings or anything if you do that. But yeah, there we go, there's the finished thing, and it pretty much looks the same as it did in Marmoset 2. It definitely looks a bit nicer in Marmoset, but that's just the difference in the renderers. That's it.